We are back with a new episode of AI Right, and I'm joined by Andy and Ishbel. Ishbel, I've not seen you for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, just busy. Working is like, living the dream, but yeah, just quite busy, so it's good to be back.
Living
Good.
the dream. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even lying.
I've just finished a crazy summer. I had 5 weddings, 3 abroad, 3 stag do's, and a family holiday on a cruise. So 7 holidays in 3 months. Not that I'm bragging. It took a lot out of the body.
It's expensive. That's expensive,
It was
Kris.
expensive. It was a lot of fun, but just one of those years. Everybody that was close to us was getting married at the one time.
And they all had to get married abroad.
I think it was because I had done that and they'd all went to mine, so I couldn't really not go back to theirs.
You know this goes out for people to listen to, right? I felt
That
strong
wasn't the
after
reason why I
the
joined.
holidays.
But no, apart from that, most of them were kind of long weekends and stuff like that, so it wasn't like you were getting away gallivanting for ages. But yeah, took a lot out of me. How about yourself, Andy? How's your summer been and what's been happening recently?
Good. It's all been about the training for everything. Haley did the hybrid games first time a couple of weeks ago. She finished an excellent time. She did really well with her pal Jill. So well done to them. We're doing one in November, and we're doing our first official 10k on Sunday with some other people I know. Who else?
Yes.
Oh,
Doing a 10k or even a half marathon.
Yeah, we're all partaking in the Great Scottish Run, weather dependent. We've got the old Storm Amy here at the moment causing us
Seems
bother.
fine.
I know it doesn't
Weatherman
seem to be
says it's not
that
raining, so we'll be fine.
Sunday will be fine, I think.
Predicted
I
to be
was
dry.
hoping the big man was. I'm not in best shape for this. I thought I was maybe getting out of it, but no, it looks like it's still going ahead.
Well, you are
But yeah, we
you are doing
thought.
the big half, so you need to kind of get in the zone, I think.
I do. But yeah, since we're all doing that, we thought it would be topical to have a bit of a conversation around AI in sport and a general catch up on what's been happening, all things AI recently. But yeah, obviously the two of you, as you were saying, Haley done the hybrid games and you guys are doing High Rocks together. And Ishbel, I know you're a big High Rocks person.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is my wife. So yeah, thought we'd bring that into the conversation along with the running. But yeah, how he's looking forward to the weekend? Why he's obviously taking part in the Great Scottish Run?
30 people at Aggreko, sorry.
There you
30
go.
people at Aggreko. We're fundraising for Glasgow Children's Hospital.
Amazing.
So
That's
collecting for a good cause.
Are you the captain of the team? The big
No,
fitness
actually,
fanatic?
no, I'm not. Molly Murray, and our finance graduate is the ringleader, and she's the one that's chasing everyone as regularly as possible to increase the funds. So no, it's good. So I'm
you know how
looking
much
forward
you've
to it
raised?
actually. Sorry,
Do you know how much you've raised?
1,500 so far.
Well done. It's great.
Very good. Very good. Andy, yourself?
Yeah, Haley and I are running for the UNICEF Children in Gaza appeal, and we've raised an amazing 4,200 so far.
That is brilliant, by the way.
But that is a lot of me begging on LinkedIn. Me having a LinkedIn following. This is what it was all about. It was the long game.
Good on you. I saw that people were taking aid across this weekend. Obviously, were stopped in transit. So yeah, hopefully, obviously that money finds its way there. But no, brilliant. That's superb. I actually run with my kind of group of friends at home regularly. So we just decided that we ran a half marathon last February just on our own. We thought, I wonder if we could do it. And I actually hated it from 13k onwards. That every stride was painful, and I said I'll never do this again. But for some reason, we've decided we would sign up.
And in keeping with the theme, have you used AI to help you?
Well, that is what we wanted to kind of chat about. So yeah, so obviously I pay for Strava. No, this isn't massive on AI. I would say you can probably quiz me here. There's other products we'll probably talk about. Yeah, definitely pacing and looking at past analysis to see how I've done in longer style runs has been helping me prepare for it. So that's been kind of key. And I think yeah, if I can sit and pace myself about 4:45 ideally, I would imagine maybe closer to 5 as it goes on, then
Impressive.
I know that I'll not not get
You're not blow
too
up.
knackered too early, exactly, and end up seeing me walking part of the way through.
Ishbel, what do you do? Do you do kind of analytics? I imagine being the data geek you are.
The data geek, but I don't know. Like I've only done two 10Ks before, And I was thinking about this, you know what I mean, looking at in sport in general, and like how an elite athlete would analyse what they're going to run for the first 2K, and then, you know, how they're going to run at a different pace from, you know, K to 10K, and then it's like there's obviously a strategy to it. I don't have that. I mean, I was just chasing a flag. One of the trainers at the gym said to me, he's like, you know, what pace are you going for? And I've never run a sub 5 minute 5K before in my life. Like, well, no, one time I had before the 10K, but one trainer and then a girl on the train saying what time she got, and that was it. Competitiveness all the way was what drove me forward to get like a better pace. It's like chasing the 50-minute flag. That's my aim again this time. So no.
Very good.
I have been known to ask ChatGPT for training plans though for high rocks, and my goodness, that's a slave driver. Like, he's like, are you for real?
ChatGPT is basically my PT now.
Yeah.
I know it's very weird, but it's also my nutritionist, and I'm kind of we might come back to this, right? But I'm actually worried that I'm telling it way too much, and now OpenAI could like probably bioprofile me down to like they could probably clone me
They're
digitally.
going to tell you, hey Andy, is it not time you went and bought some chicken?
No, to be fair,
Well, they're doing a good job.
It's not that pushy yet. However, it has remembered that I have had this conversation about, you know, let's get a good protein to calorie ratio. So every time you ask, you know, how many calories are in porridge or something, it goes, that's not protein heavy enough for you, Andy. And I'm like, oh my God,
Oh really?
what have I done?
I haven't
That is very
asked
good.
it what's calories are in food yet. I mean, I use my fitness pal, but I've
Well,
not asked about
I use
food.
my fitness pal, but when I either can't find it on the app or like what I'm doing is I'm sort of saying, I've got this many calories to play with in my budget.
What should
And
I
I've
eat?
got this stuff in the cupboard. What can I do?
That's a good idea.
No, it's quite handy for that. It's good. It gives you little permutations and like it. But again, it's sort of I'm just worried now that Sam Altman can kind of he'll probably be able to work out my entire medical history now.
That's dead interesting. To be fair, I didn't know. I never even thought of using it for that. I've used my fitness pal in the past, but yeah, that's one thing. I do so much running, but it doesn't reflect in my weight. All to do with diet. But yeah, you obviously
100%.
ChatGPT's working well as your nutritionist stroke PT, Andy, because you were down 20 pounds. Is that right?
£20, yes. But I think the main thing has actually been that just actively tracking it. So this is an interesting thing about AI in sport is like what's the benefit of AI versus just good analytics? So like just the fact that I'm tracking my calories and trying to stick to a consistent budget, that's been the biggest driver. I have been going to the gym a lot. I've been doing other things obviously, but
It's awareness of how much you're actually, like what is in things. That's
and
what
what
I
it is.
found as well, for sure.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
you're not, it's over in seconds, it's 300 calories, you're just not, what's the point? Just
No,
don't do
exactly.
it.
And before I was tracking that, you wouldn't know. You'd be like,
Yeah,
you know, a Greg's Yum Yum or whatever was bad, but you wouldn't know how bad,
yeah,
etc.
exactly.
But talk me through the difference then by tracking it, the difference between AI and analytics
Well,
for that reason.
I would be interested in Ishbel's view, but yeah. So there's all these layers of analytics people have spoken about for years. You know, you've got descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. And there's maybe one missing. I can't remember. There's usually four. Ishbel might remember. But basically, descriptive analytics is just can I get the data and ask some basic queries about it? How much of a thing is happening per unit time? What's the kind of totals of stuff? You know, that kind of stuff that you get again from these apps that just you know what's total calories through time, how much of I ran or whatever. When you get more towards predictive, it's probably going to say things like you know, given the patterns of what's been happening, you know, you start getting these nudges maybe on your apps. You know, it says it's time to move and stuff, or you've not moved in a few hours. I think you should move to make your goal before bed, etc. So that's a bit more predictive. And then prescriptive is when you start moving into not just saying what's going to happen, but saying what should happen, or trying to make a decision to influence it. So prescriptive in this sort of space would maybe be like we were just saying. It starts saying, oh, given what your goals are and given how your tracking's for today, you should have a protein heavy meal or something. But the interesting bit for me is what the biggest value is probably always that first bit. In some sense, it's the simplest. It's like the Pareto curve, right? You get 80% of the benefit from 20% of the effort. So it's like the first bit of just getting the statistics in probably drives a lot of benefit. I don't know what you think, Ishbel. Like, kind of, I probably butchered that description, but you remember the
No,
whole kind of layer of analytics, right? It's kind of thinking about that in a sport or training context is quite interesting.
well, I was thinking more like, you know, if we're thinking of AI as like a, you know, your nutritionist, your PT. So it's like, okay, well, your goal is to get what to be you know, you get your time down to grow muscle. How long are you going to do that? What are you currently, like you say, capture your current data, but what's your ultimate goal? So AI now can, I mean, it can plan all of that for you, tell you what to eat, tell you how to run, tell you when to train, tell you when to rest, tell you when to sleep. It can optimize you in a way that obviously a PT or a trainer could do. So from that perspective, like that's how, I mean, if you really wanted to make a difference, you can do that. I was reading, you know, obviously before this call, having a research, and I was thinking about, you know, obviously you've got elite athletes and they are probably using data all the time. And then with the capabilities that we've got now, does that make them even better? So they've got an unfair competitive advantage. But actually, what I was realising is that because AI is available much more widely, then actually lower level competitors or athletes could train themselves up with the access to all of this information and actually bring them up to a higher level than they could have before, because they can, you know, access the kind of how to optimize from the physical to whatever they eat and how they train. So it's like opening up the...
What's your thoughts on it then? So if you've got all these tools at your disposal that can improve you as an athlete, but you are a good example because you're a data scientist analyst by heart and by profession, but also you, ever since I've known you, I'd imagine it's going on about 10 years, every conversation we talk about the gym.
Yep.
So are you old school that you just go and naturally try and
Consistent.
improve and you get that competitive element, or are you using AI to...
Always consistency, but I do track. For the last year I've been tracking calories, and that 100% makes a difference. Knowing, and people will say to me in the gym, what are you doing now that's different? And I'm like, well, for one, I'm definitely not eating as much, but I'm much more conscious. And then they'll be like, okay, so what calories are you eating a day? And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. So I go through my app and I'll say, okay, I hit Saturday and I ate 3,000 calories, but then I went back down to 1,800 calories or whatever. So it's like, you know, you've got that tracker. But I suppose for me, when I go to the gym, I'm always lifting as heavy as I possibly can. So whether, you know, I'm deadlifting or, you know, whatever else, I squat, people avoid going with me because I will lift as much as I can every single time. And I will always go 5 days a week. And if I don't go six, I feel like I'm failing. So I think that's like consistent.
That's a high bar. But there is
I've
all
got a high bar, but you need to.
There's all this data saying that exactly strength training is the single best thing you can do, which is
Absolutely.
And I have to say, this has been a complete. So Ishbel has always been like this, to your point, Kris, right? I have not been like this at all. I used to get roll my eyes at gym people. I used to be like, oh, fuck it, here we go, gym, blah, blah, blah. Now I am like that person. So I am also well into this. And yeah, you find all the stats and the kind of the science behind it, and you look at the nutritional health papers or listening to podcasts, and they say what you're saying, Ishbel. It's like the best thing you can do is like lift to failure, lift as strong as you can to. It's not about like lots of reps. You see people in the gym and they're like just bashing away 100 times.
Sometimes I'm like, what is the point in that? Is that actually hard at all? What are you here for? What did you get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning for?
Remind me not to go to the same gym as you. Avoid any lectures.
Scary. It's
I'm
good.
nice.
You'd be a good PT, Ishbel. It'd be good.
Well, I did wonder that when I was like looking into the courses in AI related to sport, thinking this really does satisfy both of my like personalities.
We've just made PTs redundant because ChatGPT's took their place. So
no,
we've done that before with other professions.
Because you still need. So when you're running the 10K and people are standing round the side of that, like nothing can spur you on like that feeling. When my trainers will say to me, Ishbel, come on, look at that weight, that's ridiculously heavy, or that's pathetic, that spurs you on like nothing else can. Like, so you can't replace a human.
And I was thinking to get a voice assistant and they would just train them to give you abuse.
You can't replace a human.
Why is everyone's PT a drill sergeant from, you know, Full Metal Jacket or something? What's going on? Why is everybody got these aggressive PTs? Haley's my sort of de facto PT, and she's very kind and nice.
Is that your PT there?
Love it.
I get that at home. Mummy, you can lift me. Like my little boy, the older one is 7, and I'm like, he still wants lifted up, and I'm like, you're so heavy. He's like, come on, Mummy, you can still do it. You're so strong, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's a ton of weight after you've been lifting all day in the gym.
It actually is.
Exactly, but it is proven now, and I think I was talking to someone else about this. It's interesting. I feel like this has happened the last few years, right? That people have realised this. Because probably used to be years and years ago, everybody would think, if I just run all the time, I'll be really fit and healthy. And now they've sort of learned that actually, if you do strength training, it's so good. I listened to a really interesting podcast episode or a little snippet from one as well. There was a big world champion weightlifter, but he was also a nutrition scientist, and he was telling this sort of fact that the rate at which you gain muscle, you lose it a lot slower. So he actually says that if you build up muscle to a really good level and then you go away for a few months, people always assume they've lost a lot more than they have. They think it atrophies faster than it has. You retain it for a long time. And he basically said that your muscle mass, you will retain that for like years and years and years. Now, it won't be absolute peak condition necessarily, but it goes away a lot slower than you think. So it's like, he was sort of saying to people sometimes give up and they think, I can't go back now because I've not done it for a few months. But he's actually like, no, if you keep retaining it, it means when you're in your later years, you're going to be so much better in terms of balance. You're going to be able to do so much more than you could have. So that's all came from data science and the statistics and the bioscience, which is really, really interesting.
What about as a fan more general in sport? Would you say that AI is making sport a better spectacle to watch? So my examples would be in football, obviously you've got VAR, which is video assisted, but it's more the automated offside rule, which is computer vision related now. So instead of relying on the linesman, so a human, and obviously a lot of the time their decisions would be wrong, they've got that automated now to a kind of high degree, I think, in the offside rule, where
Oh wow!
the guy is essentially determining if it's onside or not. And I think that's probably a good thing for the game. But with the video assisted referee, yeah, that's still really up for debate, and it takes so long for the decision to be made. And it's kind of human in the loop because it uses video analysis, but also then it needs a human to determine to make the decision. So one of the managers in the Scottish Premier League last week said, yeah, he's going to completely do away with all the referees shortly. And I don't know if he was arguing the point that was a good thing and a bad thing, but it's funny how that can obviously impact professional sport.
Who would fans shout abuse at? I don't understand.
I think it's good to have something that can literally look at the lines and decide, and even whether it's like runners making their way over a line by like a split second, like I think using AI for those kind of decisions as well as a human to back things up, like I think that's quite sensible. Like,
Are these things AI? Like you're saying, is the offside? So is the offside one? Imagine that. That makes sense to be computer vision because the configuration of the players is the determinant of whether it's offside or not. But like they were talking about the lines people at Wimbledon, weren't they? And they weren't there this year or something. And
yeah. So
that's all just lasers and lidar or something. Now it's probably not even AI, right?
Oh really? Right. Okay. Good takes. I just assumed that would be because in the football now it goes from being a shot of like a still of all the players. Now they're now 3D kind of objects on the pitch. So where they were maybe a heat map or something to replace them, to how you see the decision of how if it's been onside or offside. So I just assumed that would be like
the
object
decision's
detection.
not necessarily AI related yet. It's just a better image. I don't know a lot about the offside rule in AI.
Well, there you go. I didn't know if that. But
No, but I think I just did a. I think you're right. It has got AI components, Chris, but it's just there's obviously a blended thing going on. Like VAR, I don't know how much of that's AI versus just playback to a human and stuff. But it's obviously this mix. But the trajectory you're talking about is right, isn't it? Where we're going to have to eventually decide in sports if we want automated referees and automated umpires and stuff.
yeah,
I don't know.
and
Is that
even
part of the game though? Is that is it part? You know what I mean? I almost feel like it could be considered that way because human error. You might end up finding that the game becomes a bit more boring.
well, it definitely is. I mean, I think most people enjoy the arguments that come afterwards.
The drama.
The
That wasn't offside. It was offside.
but it kind of is.
Part of it.
Imagine that
removing
in
the fun.
tennis, for example, the umpire was 100% right all the time. How boring would that be? There'd be no more like blowouts saying.
John McEnroe would not be famous.
John McEnroe would not be famous. Well, to be fair, he was.
I'm sure he would find a way.
So he would have been famous, but not as famous. Yeah, exactly.
What
Well,
about
no.
fueling strategies? Are we using AI to work out when is your optimal time to eat before we run on Sat?
I thought you meant that was F1 related because you were mentioning about talking about F1 earlier, so that there would be a lot, I'm sure, AI in.
We're jumping
There's a
around
lot
now. Hold on.
Formula One.
Automated refueling the other thing. What one are we picking?
Use the side.
Well, Ishbel said about fueling. Yeah, I've been kind of, as I said, I've been using ChatGPT as my nutritionist, and I've definitely, it's already told me what I should eat when.
Yeah, exactly what time before.
Well, yeah, it's kind of thing.
I've got
It's
the wee
given me sort
gels
of
for
guidance.
halfway through.
Yeah, disgusting.
Just
I'm
one.
not. No, I'm not doing anything like that. Well, I mean, I'm on the one hand, I'm kind of being quite tech savvy by using AI to help me. On the other, and Haley will appreciate this story. I was also being a bit of a luddite because I didn't even have proper running shoes until a week ago. I was
Now,
running
have you
in these.
broken them in properly? You need to.
No, they're all right. They're like running on clouds. It's amazing.
That's good.
Because before I had quite hard ones, and the person I went to get fitted in the shop because Haley said maybe that's hurting your knee and stuff. And the guy was like, "What have you been running in?" I said, "These." And he says, "No, seriously, what have you been running in?" I was like, "These." And he says, "How have you possibly been running 10k in them? They're not running shoes." And I was like, "It says running on them." He says, "Yeah, but they just say that. They're not actually running shoes. Try these." And I was like, on the treadmill, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's like running on springs. It's amazing." So on the one hand, I've been very forward thinking, and on the other, I've not. But yes, I've already asked my AI assistant, how should I plan my meals over the next few days? Less to be super optimal, but just to be sensible. So I don't do something crazy like have a fry up beforehand.
An hour ago, I suggested an Indian to stay for tonight, so I'm not on the same track as you guys.
Or mad.
We're gonna go for a Chinese buffet tomorrow, and that is definitely not on the right track. Just on the AI devices, right though. My High Rocks buddy, who's amazing, go Joe. She's got like a, what's it called? The thing that goes round your
Like a band?
The wee band, that's like, you know, if I go to her CrossFit gym, they've all got them on, for their heart rate monitors and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys have one of those? No.
Heart
Just
rate
the old
monitor?
trusty old watch.
I just use
Is
my
it
watch.
one of those Aura rings? Does it do the same?
Might do.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking
No,
about.
like just a heart rate monitor. No, I was just like looking at things like that because obviously that tracks you in a lot more detail because the data is a lot better than it would be in like your average Apple Watch. Although obviously I think some of them are better than others. I just wondered because if when you look up, you know, what's out there in AI tech, then you know understanding your hydration and things like that. Another thing I'm terrible at. I should definitely have an alarm goes off that says, Ishbel, you should drink any kind of liquid at all throughout the day. But I think I'm really bad at hydrating, yes. But there must be a plan for that as well as your nutrition.
There'll be, yeah, absolutely. I think if you synthesize if you provide enough context, AI should sort of tell you something sensible. But what I don't know, right, what's interesting, and I should have done more research before this, but maybe we do it for a future episode and revisit it, is how effective are these things? You know what I mean?
How much of a difference does it really make?
Well, there's that absolutely, but there's also like how does it compare to like me just Well, I suppose it's the same thing, but does it compare to like good nutritionist advice and stuff? It probably doesn't.
I don't know. I think it probably
I don't
does.
know. But no, but then are we falling into that fallacy that we've spoken a lot about in this podcast where because it's not our domain of expertise, we think it's easy? It's like Jeff Hinton saying that all radiologists would be replaced in 5 years about 8 years ago.
True.
Do you know what I mean? So there's a thing where if you're not an expert in the area, you always think it's easy to do by AI. So there's kind of, I really want to investigate that question, like, yeah, do these things really help? But also,
are they hallucinating?
What's the metrics? Like, what's the benchmark data? I know
We're
the
all going to be
benchmark data
eating
for
10 eggs and 30 bits of chicken.
I think, going back to that point, I just went laugh at something as well. So I went for a new pair of trainers, Andy, for the run into that Achilles heel in the West End.
Yeah.
I've never been shamed so much in my life. So I thought, I was giving it the big one, telling about my 5k and average K time. So he said, what do you do 5k? And I was like, 5k maybe like 4 minutes 25, 4 minutes 30 kilometres. And he was like, oh, you can't buy this pair of trainers then. These are like for a 3 minute 30 runner. These are kind of race trainers.
God.
What?
And I was like, I mean, these would have been expensive trainers. I just liked the look of them. I was only going in there. I thought, I'm doing a lot of running. It is purely.
But that's a great example, right? Because, but this is a wider point. It's not really an AI point because they have the same thing in golf as well with equipment and stuff, right? And you're just often like, I have this view that if you generally go in the space of the modern equipment generally, right? As long as you pick a modern piece of equipment, that's the big difference, right? So I used to play golf when I was younger with these old hand-me-downs, and then, you know, they were just random bits of metal in the end, and sort of, And then you play with a modern club and you're like, my God, it's so different. But the difference between modern clubs is such a small difference compared to that difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like it must be the same with the shoes, right? Him saying, oh, you're at 4.5 minutes, not 3.5 minutes, sounds like splitting
How
hairs.
is that really? I mean, is it because they run differently, like their actual body shape? Because I've looked at this, right? I have looked at this. How should you run to get faster? And it is about like how high you lift your knees up and things like that. Like, and I tried that once and I hurt myself because clearly I'm not an elite athlete and I can't modify. You can't. It must take time to build up to a different stance.
You were doing high knees in a 100 metre race.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as extreme as that. But it was showing you how to run, how to land, so you could get faster.
But that's the thing, that sort of thing, when we're not at the elite level, is not the difference, right? The difference is your
then you
VO2
need a
max
different
and all
trainer
these other
if you
stuff.
were at the elite level because you're obviously landing with a different
Right.
angle and all
No,
that
I
kind
know.
of stuff. So
Yeah.
whatever slow pace that Kris is clearly running at, that's
But
not a
it's-
3 minute,
I know.
which is ridiculous, right?
Chris, you're only running twice as fast as me.
I know, same.
I
Like
think-
you're like a whole minute faster
People-
than what my last 5K was.
No chance. Miles off it, by the way. Giving it the big one, but no, I'm not there now. But that summer's caught up with me. It's funny you say golf, because I think golf do the best job, maybe not AI, but marketing their products along with technology. So, like, say my dad's 65's not got a clue about tech. He can't wait to tell you he's bought a new driver again this year because they've told him it's going to put 30 yards in his drive because it's made of titanium and blah blah blah. So they do
This is
the
a big
best
part
job
of
of
golf.
yeah, bringing the two worlds together.
It's equipment driven. It is a huge part of, especially of amateur golf. It's exactly that. And what I would say is, again, it's the thing where, in my opinion, that sort of optimization of the clubs, etc., will make difference to Rory McIlroy's of the world and stuff, right? The fact that they are like so fine tuned to the shape of their body, the shape of their hands, all of that's exactly how fast they want it. That will make the difference to them competing at the very top. You see, for like punters like me, you know what I mean? It's like whether I've got the latest driver or the latest driver -2 is not the difference. The difference is my technique, my general fitness, all of these other things, right? My hand-eye coordination. So it's kind of but it is interesting because that is what is sold to golfers. That's why it's such a huge business, right? It's worth billions and billions of dollars because it is this very equipment-driven thing. And I know a lot of sports are going that way, but I think golf, just because you've got so much equipment, it's an easy sell. It's like, you have 14 clubs in the bag of various shapes and sizes, and just even picking a putter. It's like if you've ever experienced analysis paralysis, try to pick a breakfast cereal, try and pick a putter for a golf bag. It's insane. It's like, we've got all the weirdest shapes in the world, we've got the weirdest lengths, we've got all the different grips, some thick grips, some thin grips. They're like, do you like the weight in this? I'm like, to be honest, it's more my eyes that are the problem. I can't sit it straight. But it is.
Or like Kris with the trainers, I'm like, are they pretty trainers or are they like do they look nice? Are they good
Make my
colour?
feet look good.
Well, I was an absolute mark when I went in because the guy just said, just try them on, right, and I'll go find you better
Most
ones. And I was like,
expensive
I'll buy
ones.
them. I was like, they're so much better. And then I tried a few and I was like, no, they feel better. But it's interesting.
Nice. Well, before we hit the news, was there any other points that we wanted to cover around sport? Ishbel, was there something you wanted to bring up?
I don't know. I mean, you could, in terms of like analysis and data and AI and optimization, the whole Formula One, like we literally just mentioned fueling before we went back onto food, but the amount of optimization that must happen in racing is incredible. So obviously that must be vastly improving in how they know when to fuel, when to change tyres, wet tyres, what line to take. Like that must be a massive, like.
What's involved in that? What type of models are you thinking?
I went
a variety.
I can't remember which team it was, but it was someone who ran the data and analytics team for an F1 team. It was years ago, and they were doing everything. Then they were talking about, exactly to your point, Ishbel. It was like there was predictive modelling of the fuel consumption just to be as exact as possible, so they knew when they would have to come in and refuel. There was the stuff about modelling the tyres because they obviously need to change the tyres in the pit stops.
And when.
Exactly. There's stuff about they would analyse. Oh, that was the thing he showed me, an in-depth analysis they did of their pit crews working.
Huh?
And they did lots of different algorithms to try and optimise the spacing of where the pit crews do.
How quickly, where do they need to stand and how quickly can they get that tyre change
and what's
over?
the optimum order to do certain things in exactly, and what's going to help make sure the car stops exactly right. It's just all this. absolutely everything you can think of. And I imagine now with Gen AI and stuff, they're just going to be thinking wherever they can. How do they just because again, it's the elite. To your point earlier, Ishbel, it's the
Uh-huh.
elite. So every tiny percentage is worth millions and
That
millions of
can be
dollars.
skimmed off, every second counts, but it will be like you'd have to optimize every single part of it, so it'll be a massive big ensemble of different models, because it's even like, you know, how, like in the lead up to the race, how hot has it been, so how greasy could the track be because of that longer term weather pattern, like, is it's like they look at absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, they do. And it's interesting, it's the same. I remember also, I think it was the same conference. There was a talk by a guy leading analytics and AI I think it was British Airways. And they were using a lot of the same techniques and ideas, but to
Mm.
optimize how quickly they could load the plane and clean the plane and all that. And
Mm.
it's just yeah, it's just exactly it's complex optimization. So you might have like integer optimization problems and kind of planning problems from operational research, but then now you could throw in AI to try and organize all that and use these
Mm-hmm.
ensemble models you're talking about. Ishbel. But I imagine it's super fun if you're an
Yeah,
analyst.
totally, very interesting.
There's a few data scientists actually in Scotland that worked previously down south for like McLaren, I know specifically as well. That would be good. We could do a follow up on the F1 on the F1. So yeah, I would. Well, one question I had there. So just interested in all the models that would be involved. You talked about optimization. So what would be the difference of traditional ML and how they were building all those optimization style models to then how that would have maybe moved into using Gen AI? Would it they would just be
You've
integrated
even got a
in?
step before that. So optimization is a very old sort of field, right? You
Mm-hmm.
could argue that all algorithm design is about optimizing something.
Right.
So you have like operational research where you're trying to do optimization of problems in the operational world. So logistics optimization, routing problems, scheduling, all of that. But they can be done using like integer optimization and other techniques, as it's called, convex optimization, etc. So you just frame the problem mathematically as a set of statements with constraints, and then there's algorithms you can apply. Then the ML stuff came in and said, my interpretation is some of that stuff is very hard to define so axiomatically, so specifically. So you allow fuzziness by using statistical and ML models. And now with AI, I think, there's a sort of thing where that combined with those algorithms can do a bit more of the, even the experimental design or thinking about how could I different ways of even tackling the problem, never mind you designing that and then running lots of simulations. So it's always a bit higher levels of abstraction. I don't know, Ishbel, if you kind of thought about that before, or what do you think?
No,
'Cause you
I
work
don't.
in the you
I
work
can't
in
really see. I can't really see like what Gen AI would be. It would be more like a collection of like more traditional optimization, like Andy's saying, because I feel like Gen AI would be too subject to error, really, for an F1 team to adopt. Like, I feel like that would be there's too much. There's too much margin for error there, and they're really trying to minimize their margin for error. So I mean, I don't know though, because I've not worked in a Formula One team,
you should get
but I can't imagine that they would be.
maybe to design the paint. What
So
colour can I paint this?
this was the thing, I forgot about that. So I was looking at what Formula One have done with AI and was expecting something cool, and then it was they were using it to design their trophies.
Right, that's interesting. Uh,
Come
so
on,
we
F1, you
All
can do better
right,
than that.
come on,
we
yeah.
work we work in a co-working space, and two guys across from us at the desk across work for a wee Scottish-based business, and they're like graphic sort of 3D designers. So I saw like one of the Premier League Player of the Match trophies on the desk.
Yeah.
I was like, "How have you got that?" And it's like, "Oh, we designed those for the Premier League." And then it turns out that they've got contracts with like the NBA and the NFL, and they design all their trophies. So I feel sorry for
Really?
them. The AI's now doing it in the
Genuine
back.
question. How much of a demand for that is there though? 'Cause surely once you've done the trophy, you've done the trophy. And then they change it every year.
But I don't know. I never get into the thicket with them,
We need them on as well. We need them on. This is interesting. But I mean,
but I
if
was just
yeah,
like, what chances you got? You're sitting across with two guys in your co-working space, and they're designing trophies for the NFL and the NBA and stuff.
it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. We did an episode a while ago where we all chatted about this. I think I remember saying that they were using AI to create new potential golf club designs. But this was, I think, even before Gen AI. I imagine they could do things that are a bit more creative like that. You could, but there was kind of like I think they were using diffusion models and other things to basically say, optimize the airflow over this object with these characteristics, and then it would come up with some weird bonkers shapes. And there was a golf club that was sold as, designed by AI or something, but it was just very niche little bits of it. So I can see it being used for things like that. They're a bit more creative, solve this problem in a wacky way. But then to your point, Ishbel, some stuff you're just going to be like, actually being more in control with the algorithm is going to be more important.
Well, I was thinking more like taking all the technical aspects in and optimizing, right, but having a little bit of a look. It could be that they're using the AI to model what the different possible scenarios are. Like, so what happens if these other cars, they do this? Because again, that's the unknown, I suppose. So if we're talking about, what are all the possible complex scenarios that could happen within a race, then I suppose we could be looking at AI to do those kind of complex situations that potentially the more traditional ones wouldn't be thinking of, and then strategizing what to do when those happen, or how to account for that.
Yeah. Well, Google had that partnership with, I can't remember if it's Man U or Leicester, some football team in the Premier League. I can't remember. We should look up. But they did this thing where they were using DeepMind. Were using the same stuff they'd use for like AlphaGo, etc., Monte Carlo tree search and other algorithms to basically simulate football games. To your point, Ishbel. So they simulate different scenarios. The ball's in a certain place, but because it's a relatively unconstrained space, say compared to even Go or chess, etc., because you can go in any direction, obviously. So they were just saying, simulate the most likely paths, and based on that, we'll augment our strategy. So they're absolutely. So it makes complete sense. Yeah, it's super, super interesting. Would there ever be a fully AI generated sport? There's a question. Would you ever have 11 AIs versus 11 AIs on a synthetic pitch? Would people watch that?
Would you say, like, if you went, like, you played FIFA and now you go, it's me versus you, but you can put it to like computer versus computer, would that be the same?
It could be the same, exactly, but yeah, maybe just a better version of that. But that sounds to me incredibly boring.
It does sound boring.
It's funny that, isn't it, though? Because it's like, when it's 11 people versus 11 people you don't know, people find it really exciting and get super passionate about it. If it's 11...
Imagine with the VR headsets, like, could you not, like, say for instance you're a sport, you put your on the VR and you would be like inside an arena watching like fake basketballers play one another? Was that not a thing? And I'm not 100% sure.
That probably is, but that sounds interesting. Or as well, you could have the thing where you're watching a real match and then you put it on the VR and it pretends you're one of the players or something.
You're on the pit.
See, but these are good. If there's any companies out there or anyone wants to invest in this idea, this is...
We might be late to the party, we don't know.
No, but potentially it's been done a long time ago. But I think there's lots of possibilities like that, right? There could be entirely new modes of sport invented. It's maybe not just about optimizing the current sport, because there's always the potential for new things to be invented.
Just
3D
don't
chess,
think
like they have in Star Trek, 3D chess.
No, I know. I don't see us getting to the point where we're watching like robots play each other in a football match or other sport.
Robot deathmatch.
We used to watch Robot Wars.
Love Robot Wars.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going back 30 years now.
Imagine Robot Wars, but it was like infinitely better in terms of like the robots' capabilities and stuff. That's probably what we're talking about. I would watch that.
Yeah, probably more death matches when you're destroying something.
Robot MMA. That'd be brilliant. It'd just be a Transformers movie, really, but yeah.
To be honest, we never got onto the news, but I think probably we've covered enough. We've got right into different sports, and obviously talked about lots of different aspects of how AI can be used. But I think all that's left to say then is good luck to you both on Sunday. Hopefully we're here for the next podcast. We're not
knees hold out.
Damaged. Exactly, Andy. Good luck with your knees.
And Kris, I hope you pack enough gel.
Heavy gelling for a gel boy. They'll be calling me. It's
that's
funny,
not gel, everyone. That's electrolyte gel.
Well, just a disclaimer. No, one of my best pals, he's done a couple of Ironmans, and it's him that introduced us to the gel, and we actually call him Gel Boy because he's so passionate about Gel Boy.
What's an Ironman? Remind us, what's an Ironman?
An Ironman is, I don't know the exact length for the swim, but you swim open water swimming. I think it's maybe like at least a couple of K, maybe up to 5. Then it's like 100-kilometre cycle, and then you finish off with a marathon. Takes like 12-13 minutes at the end of that.
You finish with a marathon.
That's insane, isn't it?
I know.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
You finish with a marathon.
It's putting us to shame.
kilometre swim, a kilometre bike
Cycle.
ride, and then a marathon. That is just ridiculous.
And you do this in one go?
Do it in one go. That's why you're called an app. And
Usually,
do you know,
usually they must finish within a strict time limit. Usually 17 hours.
it's so funny. Do you know what's actually will interest you, right? So he works in leverage finance for a Japanese bank. But anyway, we went to London and he put on like £50 just going to the boozer after work, like 5 nights a week, working till like 10, then going to the pub. Really unhealthy lifestyle. He moved to New York because his missus was NYU and she was doing a gap year in London. So they signed up to their first 10k together and just got the absolute buzz, and they've just went all the way up to doing Ironmans with one another. So they were in Berlin at the weekend doing a marathon. There you go. So it might be the start of us. Trail bait.
The start. We may have to have a sporty podcast.
I have signed up to the Gauntlet. That's my next one.
Haley's doing the Gauntlet in January. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. We'll see you there.
We're also toying with doing solo high rocks. Have you done a solo high rocks this
I have not done a solo high
We're
rock.
going to try a solo one, I think, next year.
As in, you just do it yourself, you're not as a team?
Yes.
Wow. That's brave.
That'd be hard.
That's a whole different ballgame because there's no rest.
I'll need to get you some AI Right merch. I was going to get some AI Connect merch on Sunday, but I was poorly
Have matching outfits, yeah. Well, I mean, you have to have an outfit, right?
We should do that. But anyway, before we wrap up, good luck to the Aggreko team. That's a good showing for charity. That's excellent. 30 people. It's great.
Yeah, good on you. I hope
look out for you.
Hope you win the race out of the 30 of you.
No, I won't. Well, I don't. I will not.
No, you run pretty fast. It's good. We're just going to finish. That's our aim. My aim is to finish
That's my aim.
means.
I'm not on form, so my aim is just to,
get it done. I'm the same.
Get it done. Get it done. Exactly.
Well, listen, all the best, and we'll see you soon.